Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. In today's video, I'm going to be analyzing the prior game versus Spain back in January of 2019. And I'm also going to be going over Spain's game versus France that happened a few months ago. This is just so we can get a basic idea of what Spain might bring against us during the She Believes Cup. I'm going to start with the rosters for both teams because Vlatko actually released his final roster a few days ago, and then I'm going to move on to both of the games I'm going to review, and then I will finish with my final analysis. As always, links to timestamps, the schedule, where to watch them play, the roster, all of that will be linked down below. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the US Women's National Team released their final roster for the She Believes Cup. So the first roster that I made the video about was just their preliminary roster. Basically, they brought 26 players in. 3 of them were going to get cut. Jordan DiBiase, Margaret Purse, and Jane Campbell got cut. But this is the final roster. Goalkeepers, we have Adrianna Franch, Ashlyn Harris, and Alyssa Naeher. Defenders, Abby Dahlkemper, Tierna Davidson, Crystal Dunn, Krieger, Kelley O'Hara, Becky Sauerbrunn, Casey Short, and Emily Sonnett. Midfielders, Julie Ertz, Lindsey Horan, Lavelle, Sam Mewis, Andi Sullivan, and forwards, Tobin Heath, Carli Lloyd, Jessica McDonald, Kristen Press, Mallory Pugh, Megan Rapinoe, and Lynn Williams. Alright, Spain also released their She Believes Cup roster, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce a lot of these because it's embarrassing. I'm just gonna put a picture of it, hopefully you get the gist of it. So for the starting lineup, the United States came out in their typical 4-3-3 formation with the back line of Crystal Dunn, Becky Sauerbrunn, Abby Dahlkemper, and Emily Sonnett. 3 midfielders as Lindsey Horan, Julie Ertz, Rose Lavelle, and then the 3 forwards up top as Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, and Tobin Heath. This was a very common lineup under Jill Ellis. Obviously, with Alex Morgan being pregnant, Kristen Press would slide into her spot, in my opinion. So Spain came out in their 4-3-3 formation. In the back line, we have Mappy Leon, Irene Paredes. Both of those players normally play center back together, but today Mappy Leon played left back. Our goalkeeper obviously was Panos, the 3 midfielders, and then the 3 forwards up top. Jenny Hermoso started this game, which is something she didn't start against France. So this is the formation they came out with, and the subs are on the right. So Rose gets the ball and drives forward, plays a nice ball wide to Tobin, who takes a few touch inside, decides to play across, and doesn't end up working out. But Rose gets the ball from Alex, shoots it, but Irene Paredes actually blocks it out for a corner. This was one of Spain's opportunities in the first half. It was off of a poor clearance from Becky, and then they had a nice volley. It just wasn't on target. This was off of one of our corners. Pino had a phenomenal bicycle kick attempt, but the goalkeeper was able to get a hand on it. Honestly, the keeper kind of looked a little shaky in the air during this game, so that's something to note going forward. Julie plays a nice through ball to Lindsey Horan, who, I don't know if she played it or the defender, but Alex got it, and she ended up being offsides. Rose played a nice through ball to Tobin, who tried to go for the shot and didn't end up working out, but Julie got the rebound. That almost went in. I would have, freaked out if that went in. That was really close, but it was a good shot, good attempt from her. So this was another one of Spain's opportunities. It was one of their few shots they had outside the box, and it was almost on target. This is when Kristen Press, Mallory Pugh, and Tierna Davidson were subbed in. I think these were 3 really solid substitutions that Jill Ellis made. Again, Becky did that. Thank God for Alyssa Naeher. That could have been really close. Rose wins the ball, and just watch this. That is literally so good. I have nothing to say. You cannot be better than that. And to come off the bench and pull that off, it just speaks to the type of quality she is as a player. Jessica McDonald loses the ball, and Jenny Hermoso gets it, plays a through ball, and the Spanish player ends up kicking it right at Alyssa Naeher, and she ends up getting it off of the header. Again, Kristen Press gets the ball, drives forward, plays a nice through ball to Alex Morgan, who takes a touchback. I can see what she's trying to do here. She's trying to bend it in the corner, but it just doesn't work. Alex Morgan plays a nice through ball to Jessica McDonald, who unselfishly plays it back. Pugh can't get to it, but JJ just skies it over. Uh-oh. Kristen plays it back to Becky, and Becky, oof. This was one of I feel like Spain's better opportunities, but again, we gave them this chance. Sam does a good job at winning the ball in the midfield. Alex gets it, and here I feel like Alex could have played it to Kristen or Jessica or even Sam, but she tries to go for the shot. I just think that it wasn't necessarily the best decision considering she had so many options that had a much better opportunity at scoring on goal. See, in this picture here, she had 3 different players she could have played it to, but chose to take it herself.
Spain loves to possess the ball, as we can see. They typically will have more possession than their opponents. But at the end of the day, if Spain can't create opportunities in the final third with their possession, then it doesn't really matter if they have the ball 60% of the game. They can pass the ball around their back line, through their midfield, they can go back all they want. As long as they don't try to score, who cares? And obviously it's frustrating chasing, and I think that's where the United States is going to have to be disciplined in their formation and in their set. Even if one person gets pulled out of position, Spain's going to use that to their advantage and play around that. So we need to make sure that we're tight in our lines and that all 3 of our lines, from the front line to the midfield to the defense, is all compact and all on the same page. Jill Ellis obviously started Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, and Tobin as the front 3, but as soon as Kristen Press subbed on in the second half, you could see a complete difference in the team. I think this team is just a completely different team when she's on the field, and unfortunately Jill didn't see that. I mean, to have a player score a goal of that quality, I can't tell you how many times I've watched Kristen Press play, and I'm just sitting there like in shock, not only with the national team, but with her club team at Utah as well. To have that mentality and that confidence and that drive to just be like, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to go do it. And then score, fantastic. I think that's something that's going to be crucial to breaking down Spain's back line, is they're very disciplined in their back line. Irene Paredes and Amapi Leon, they're very, very tight, and they're a great team. And so I think it's going to be tough to break them down just through possession because they defend very compactly. When you have a player like Kristen Press to come on just to drive forward and score, that's what we're going to need. Not to mention, she's the only player who has scored against Spain in the run of play. Both the goals during the World Cup were off of penalty kicks.
So Spain's starting lineup, again, they came out in their 4-3-3. As you can tell from this lineup and the other lineup, when the United States played them, it's completely different. Amapi Leon and Irene Paredes both played center back together, and Leah Wabi played left back. Obviously, Panos was the goalkeeper. Up top, as you can see, Ginny Hermoso didn't play, and they put Lucia Gracia in for her. As for France's lineup, they came out in 4-2-3-1. I'm not going to go over too much because this isn't necessarily relevant, but this is their starting lineup and their substitutes. France plays a nice through ball here, and Sauerbrunn gets the ball, and her shot ends up hitting the side netting. This is one of Spain's opportunities here. They go for a throw-in, and they play a nice through ball. Celia crosses it, and again, when you have a 6-foot player like Wendy Renard, not much is going to happen on a cross. Here was a freaking cross that almost went in. I would have screamed. That was so cool. And Amapi Leon tries to play a ball. It just doesn't end up working out because Diani gets it. And she makes a nice cross and ends up bad clearance. And here I felt like she should have just taken a better touch and hit it one time. But it ends up working out for France in the end because Diani's cross gets poorly cleared out by the goalkeeper and Sauerbrunn puts in the back of the net. Here was one of Spain's opportunities. Again, Wendy Renard is just such a good defender. There's not much you can do against her. Spain does a nice job of crossing the ball here. And Lucia Garcia does a good job of crossing her player up. She just plays it right to Wendy Renard and then fouls the heck out of her. Oof. Spain's definitely a very physical team, as you can tell. Like, this poor girl's ankle, knee to the ankle. I bet that hurt really bad. Spain lost the ball here. Amadine Henry played a nice through ball. Sauerbrunn played it forward. I swear, Gouvon is like the French Lynn Williams. Like, that's what she reminds me of. Now, I don't think that was offsides, but the ref had been calling it all day, so I wasn't surprised. This was one of Spain's opportunities where they got to the box, but again, there wasn't anything that happened from it. Here, Sauerbrunn played a through ball to Diani, which this was fantastic goalkeeping. She came out, made a play on it, got the ball, not a foul. That was fantastic from her. Here, Wendy Renard plays a ball over top, and the French player plays on, and honestly, I feel like Panos could have got that, but it just went in the back of the net. Here's one of Spain's opportunities. This ball had a little bit of curve on it, so it almost went in, but it just, again, not much you can do. One of France's opportunities towards the end, shot at the keeper.
Obviously, there's a lot of differences between France and the United States, but if you go back and watch the game, which I'll link below, it's a completely different team and a completely different game. in the way that France plays Spain and the way we played them. France plays a 4-2-3-1 and the United States plays a 4-3-3. So maybe that's something to consider, their lineups being different in the way that France was actually able to control the midfield a little bit more, and they were able to create more opportunities in the final third going forward. I think the biggest takeaway from this game was that France was phenomenal during the counterattack, and Spain was very vulnerable there. If you get the ball and you drive out their back line, it freaks them out. They kind of fall apart, which is understandable. I'd probably do the same thing. But at the end of the day, that's a great weakness to expose, and France did that. They went forward, they played it over top, or they dribbled out their back line, and they didn't just do this by building it up. They did it off of the counterattack. Spain would possess the ball, France would win it, and they would just drive forward. You can see that in a few moments when the United States played Spain. For example, when Rose would get to go forward, but it was nothing strong enough or as consistent as what France was able to do. And so they were able to break down Spain a lot easier. Again, in this game, you can see that Spain just didn't have any sort of offensive powerhouse to even try to score. And they had their moments, and I even included clips that I probably wouldn't in any other game just because I wanted to give Spain the benefit of the doubt and show that they did create opportunities. It was just nothing that was scary or, promising in that matter. I don't feel like there was genuinely one shot on goal that I thought, oh, that could have gone in. So my final thoughts, what I think we're going to see from Spain in this game is they're going to want to keep the ball. They're going to be very possessive-minded, and that's okay. They can have the ball. They can have possession. And as long as it's not productive, it's not really hurting anybody. They're just doing whatever. We just have to make sure that we don't get frustrated with the defending, which is something that can happen very easily. We just need to stay calm and patient and compact, and eventually they will make a mistake. They'll play a pass that, is just a little too far away. Someone will have a bad touch and we'll be able to intercept it. Once we intercept it, we need to keep the ball. That was something that I noticed against Spain when the United States played them, is we'd win the ball back and we'd give it away. And so once we win it, we need to keep the ball and just be patient. Going forward on the counterattack, in my opinion, is the biggest thing that we need to focus on. And so that's an area we need to exploit. Kristen Press needs to drive forward. Lynn Williams needs to drive forward. Tobin needs to drive forward. Thing is Spain has a lot of younger, promising players. Their youth team is very, very good. But overall, even though they do have forwards currently like Jenny Hermoso, who are very, very good, it's just they don't click in the final third. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunities they have where, they'll be at the outside of the 18 and a player like Tobin Heath would dribble at the back line. They decide to pass it back, which there's nothing wrong with keeping possession, but I think their possession almost drives them into sort of like a brick wall, which they don't know how to finally break down because there's only so far you can get into the box if a team is very compact defensively. And so I think that's something that Spain's going to bring. Obviously, Spain's going to be physical. They're going to be aggressive. That's something to look out for. One last thing I wanted to point out is Spain gets tired towards the end of the game. France got a ton of opportunities in the last 10 minutes of the game into extra time. Same with us in the second half of the game. We had plenty of more opportunities than we did in the beginning because they got tired. Again, with time, their program will strengthen, and that may not be something we can see. But currently, that's something that you should look out for. Overall, Spain's a very good team. They're very promising. I think going forward they're going to be a powerhouse, especially since their youth team, their professional league in Spain is fantastic. They're bringing so many good players up through their system. Their coach, Jorge Vilda, he basically has been overseeing a lot of the youth teams, the full national team. He's actually making positive change within their system. And so if Spain can get players up top who are ruthless in their pursuit to score, it'll be a freaking team that is unstoppable. So if you're watching women's soccer currently and you want to look for teams in the future, Spain is a team to look out for because they have some fantastic players, and they're so close to being an amazing team. They're just lacking their bite in the final third. Alright, that's all I have to say for now. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video against Japan. Alright, bye-bye.